Anybody who is wealthy will have many friends. It says the rich man has many friends, but they are not truthful friends. They are not time-tested, dependable friends. They are what the English people call fair weather friends. You know, they are, if the money is there, they are there. Or sometimes we say they flow where the water is sweetest. When there is no water, they are gone. And that's what the prodigal son found out. When his money was finished, he went to take a job. They gave him the job of a laborer to take care of pigs. As a Jew, that was even anathema for him. But he was so hungry that he began to struggle with the pigs to eat pig feed, or pig food if you like. And then the Bible says he came to himself and he said, how many of my father's hired servants are at home and they're eating food, and I am here a son and I am dying daily? I will arise and I will go home and I will say to my father, Father, I have sinned before heaven and before you. I am not worthy in my sinfulness to be called your son anymore. I have betrayed sonship. I had betrayed the family name. But do not take me as a son. Take me as a hired servant, because what the servants have is better than what I was eating. If you know that story in the Bible, the father didn't listen to him, hugged him, and brought him back to where he was. But the fact is that he made the decision that said, I will arise and I will go. And nobody taught him the way home. He knew exactly the way home. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when we get into situations, rather than saying that it's my friends that took the money, they bought the drinks, they did that, no. I am the one that went to take money that I was not supposed to take. That's where we start from. And so Jonah came to that point and he said, I am wrong. There were seaweeds around him. He said, God, I am wrong. I am sorry. I will look back towards your holy temple. I'll face my sights back towards God. Because at the end of the day, it's not friends. It's not the idols and the fetish and the gods that we keep. It's Almighty God. And he said, as I said last week, those who put their faith in idols would mortgage the mercy of God upon their lives. And so this is like a bit of all that we have done. And so God in his mercy, after Jonah had been spewed out from the mouth of this fish, he landed, and he probably had to now walk or find his way from Tarshish, which was 2,500 miles to where he started, before he now started embarking upon the 500-mile journey. So he did 3,000 miles. What is the rationale here? Anybody who disobeys instructions, more often than not, you go the journey twice. You don't listen to the exam questions, instructions. You probably take a reset. When others are on summer holiday, you come back in September to take a course. And so we learn through life. So we are in chapter 3 now. It says, the word of the Lord came to Jonah again, a second time. And God said to him, Jonah, arise, go against that city, cry against it. And this time it says, Jonah arose and he went according to the word of the Lord. First time he said, I'll do my thing. It's my choice. Or like the people in the West would say, it's my rights. But he found out that the breath that he had was not his right, was just a responsibility that God gave him, and that God can take it anytime without notice. And as long as the breath is in him, he ought to make sure that his life counts for God's purposes, because ultimately each one of us will give an account to God for our lives. There's a hereafter. Whether people believe it or not, there is a hereafter. And let me say this. Even if there is a 50-50 chance that there isn't, in life it's good to err, to go wrong on the side of what is good, so that if you find out that after all there was nothing, you were still on the side of good. But if you err on the side of evil and bad and unrighteousness and wickedness, and then you find out that really what you were doing was wrong, then you're really doomed. Because not only did you not enjoy time, you also will not enjoy eternity, because there is something called eternity, either in heaven or in hell. So Jonah arose and he went. And it says he went to Nineveh according to the word of the Lord, and Nineveh was an exceedingly great city. In breadth, it was 3 days' journey. I'm not too sure if I walk from, let's say, Banjul, from the Arch, for 3 days, I probably will be getting somewhere around, who knows, Buyam, maybe Somita, Bullock, somewhere. But 3 days walking is quite a distance. Certainly after 1 day I should be passing through Brikama and going. So maybe even further than Buyam. Now a city that wide must have had loads of people, multitudes. That is the city Jonah was sent to. And I like chapter 3 because in verse 4 it says, Jonah began to go into the city just after 1 day. And from that 1 day, he began to cry out, yet 40 days, and Nineveh will be overthrown. The reason I'm smiling is I always picture a scenario whereby, let's say Nineveh was Banjul. And if you're coming from the south, because Banjul is an island, as long as you cross Denton Bridge and you touch land just after the bridge, I believe all that is part of Banjul, all the way to the ports, all that, Wafinjago, Kamalo, well, not Kamalo, Wafinjago, all that is Banjul. Once you cross Denton Bridge, you are into Banjul. So imagine this prophet, because he has done wrong, he has disobeyed, he has been rebellious, he thought he had it all worked out, he had worked it out how he would dodge God, and he found out that he was in the belly of a fish. He did not die, the fish did not swallow water to kill him, because his lungs are not the gills of a fish. God spared his life because he confessed his sins, and he vowed and pledged that he would do what God asked him to do. And so he started from the entrance of the city, maybe at a place where there was nobody, but at that point it doesn't matter to you whether they are inhabited, even if there is one man or two teenagers or one family or one hut. The thought of Jonah was that I don't want to get into trouble with this God again, so I'm going to say it, I'm going to shout it. A journey of 3 days around the city. From the first day he started shouting, you guys are wicked people, you will be overthrown, this city will be overthrown. Interestingly enough, verse 5 says that the people of Nineveh believed God. That's why I earlier on said that never say people's no or yes for them. Somebody may have had an encounter with a manager, a director, a man, a woman, a minister, or somebody. But sometimes they will not also tell you the detail of maybe how their encounter went. For instance, maybe the person told you, come at 10 p.m., 10 a.m., I have a meeting at 10:30. And you waltz in at 10:25, and you want the secretaries to push so that you go in, and they say no, and you end up not being able to see the person because they had an appointment. But when you leave and you are recounting the story in your anger, in your bitterness, in your vexation, you tell people that that managing director is a bad man, that woman, she doesn't care, it's because they've promoted her. People talk like that, and then you that has heard the story, you make an uninformed impression of the person. And sometimes, if you even kept it to yourself, it's good. You spread it to other people. That and people talk like that about people. Yet, you do not have a personal encounter with that managing director, that woman, that man, those people to say for a fact that what you were told is really what is happening because I experienced it. And that's why it's interesting in life, You can meet people who tell you that Mrs. So-and-so is so bad, Mr. So-and-so is so bad. And you can meet people the same day who tell you that as for Mrs. So-and-so, if not for her, I will not be where I am and what I am. And you wonder what is wrong, what is right. Is the person schizophrenic? Are they bipolar? Do they have a split personality? No. Sometimes people just do not tell you the truth. Jonah had anticipated, because after all, God told him the people were bad. But if you remember in parts 1 and 2, I made a phrase which I want to make again. I said that in the dealings of God with us, there is a phrase we use that goes like this: God reveals so that he will redeem. God does not reveal to expose, to destroy, to laugh at you, to caricature you. No, no, no. That's not the purpose of God. If God reveals a weakness, a fault,